All right, let's get to Ed Luce's latest piece in the Financial Times. It's entitled Trump's Demolition of the U.S. State. And you write in part, quote, "It's time to study Caligula. That most notorious of Roman emperors killed what was left of the Republic and centralized authority in himself. Donald Trump does not need to make his horse a senator. It will be enough to keep appointing charlatans to America's great offices of state. Rome was not destroyed by outsiders. It was demolition work. It was the work of barbarians from within." Pete Hegseth, Trump's nominee to run America's sprawling military bureaucracy, was considered too much of a security risk in 2021 to protect Capitol Hill from protesters. Matt Gaetz, Trump's pick for U.S. Attorney General, reportedly won the Mar-a-Lago beauty contest by declaring, "Yeah, I'll go over there and start cutting effing heads." Given Tulsi Gabbard's close affinity to Vladimir Putin's Russia, she would be unlikely to get a low-level security clearance in normal times. Now she will be custodian to America's most classified secrets. Rome was not built in a day, as the saying goes, but it squandered its spirit with remarkable speed. And I think what you're talking about also is democracy itself is imperfect and also fragile.
Yes, extremely fragile, and the Republic, is only as good as the people upholding it. And these, I think, are charlatans. Whether some of them, as you've just been discussing, like Matt Gaetz, would be just the shop window, and others like Todd Blanche would be actually running the department, I'm not sure. But you have got very deliberate choices. People like RFK Jr., who will not get jobs anywhere else. Peter Hegseth, I guess, could continue as a Fox News anchor. Matt Gaetz is not going to get a job anywhere else. RFK Jr. is not going to get a job anywhere else. He's not going to get a job running a medical center on some university campus. These are people, therefore, who are chosen for their loyalty. They have nowhere else to go other than to demonstrate their loyalty to Trump. And so I think there is a larger pattern here. It's not just that you're getting charlatans being picked for these really important roles. It's that you have a dismantling of the federal government. You have a disabling of the federal government, which is a very explicit part of Elon Musk's mandate. And Elon Musk, I think, being the de facto sort of vice president or co-president in terms of a lot of these selections, has always had an explicit desire not just to cut spending or to get rid of regulatory agencies, which of course poses enormous conflicts of interest with his business, but to disable a vast institution, the federal government, that he believes gets in the way of the heroic wealth makers such as him. So we do have larger method in the madness than just Trump choosing people who look good on TV. I think we have a very clear ideological agenda here to demolish the effectiveness of government.
Well, of course. And again, all I was saying was what the Justice Department officials said on background in that one case. But there's a bigger thing going on here, and it lines up with what Donald Trump has said in the campaign, which is he was talking about bringing the FCC into the White House, talking about bringing in all of these other places. Even going back to the first term, their attitude on Secretary of State was, you know what, they can go around, smile, shake people's hands, but we're going to be running it out of the Oval Office. So, again, you can read, Anne Applebaum's Twilight of Democracy 3 or 4 years ago, and what she said was, what you do is, if you want to disable the state, the quote deep state, however you want to put it, what you do is you undermine agencies by replacing competency with loyalty. That's part one. But part two, there is a real belief that in Trump world that it's like Louis XIV, who said, "I am the state." That is the attitude. Trump is the state. And so he wants to know why, if you look at these picks, why do I need competence? We're going to be running it all out of the Oval Office, which, of course, for many, many Americans, 49.1 or 2% of Americans, that's deeply troubling.
Yeah, I mean, I'm most concerned if we're talking in terms of Anne's, brilliant focus on how liberal democracy becomes illiberal democracy, the sort of the Hungarian Viktor Orban model that is so beloved of many around Trump. I'm most concerned by Peter Hegseth. Trump's real complaint about the Pentagon in 2020 was that it resisted Mark Esper, Mark Milley. They resisted the Insurrection Act. They resisted the politicization of the military. And Trump came out of that saying, I was betrayed by the military. They did not swear an oath of loyalty to me. They kept saying their oath of loyalty was to the Constitution. Well, Pete Hegseth fully agrees with Trump. He thinks it's a woke DEI, politically correct organization, the Pentagon, that needs to be cleaned out, and that people, 3-4-star generals, need to be vetted to check their loyalty to the commander-in-chief, not in the abstract, to this one. Mm-hmm. And as you know, there are certain people like the FBI director, who I think, Chris Wray, who I think Trump probably does want to remove and, God forbid, replace with somebody like Kash Patel. But there are protections for a lot of these jobs. There are certain fixed contracts. For generals, there aren't. You can get rid of them. As commander-in-chief, you can get rid of them for whatever reason you like, and you can promote a corporal. If you find that corporal more congenial, you can just have them leapfrog several levels and become generals based on their loyalty to you. And that's Pete Hegseth's role, I think. And that's the most worrying, therefore, to the future of the rule of law in this republic.
It's interesting. The Wall Street Journal editorial page today says, basically talking to Donald Trump, says sometimes it's okay to withdraw an impulsive nomination, a choice. And they're talking about Pete Hegseth asking, what else is out there? If he didn't tell you about this, what more is to come down the road? We'll see.